Happy International Women's Day. I was sick for a couple of weeks and then very busy, but I'm back and I wanted to cover something very simple, which is HTML. Some people would say that it hardly deserves a mention, but it's a useful tool. Even if, like me, you're very interested in data, eventually you have to show your programs to people. And if you just write a program in Python, it may have problems in the sense that not all machines will execute Python the same way. So, one way to get around that is to write your program so that they can be run in a web browser because browsers are pretty much kind of like platform independent tools. So if you write programs that are meant to run in a web browser, you can kind of get around some of the really tricky issues of how to have things executing on different types of machine and different types of hardware. Um, it's Women's Day, and in addition to putting up my code notebook about HTML, which you'll see is about Women's Day as well, um, I wanted to reflect a bit on not only the awesome accomplishments of women as programmers. In fact, the first programmer was a woman, but also reflect on the challenges of um, women brought on by computer programs. This topic is really nothing new. I addressed it a little bit when I interviewed my friend Morris Alper, but I also wanted to do a little bit of a historical flashback. The topic of bias in algorithms is super trendy right now, but this is something with a really long history. In fact, a history at least about as long as I've been alive. Now, I like a particularly interesting story of one particular algorithm, and that would be the algorithm that was executed in terms of admissions at St. George's. This was a British medical school, the St. George's Hospital Medical School, and there was someone there in the 70s called Dr. Geoffrey Franklin who wrote an algorithm to process student applications. Now, they looked at this algorithm as a way to replace humans, and they thought they had achieved success when the algorithm was pretty much doing what humans did. However, by the early 80s, people had caught on that there were some problems with the algorithms. Essentially, it was doing exactly what the human admissions process had done, which was to sort of discriminate against not only unqualified or bad applicants, but perhaps against qualified applicants based on ethnicity and gender. The algorithm specifically was discriminatory against women. Now, this eventually went to a trial, and it was found that the algorithm did have some classification and discrimination. Um, and the discrimination was both racial and gender based. Um, and that was, decades ago. Unfortunately, history kind of has a way of repeating itself. And today, I could think of five examples right off the top of my head of algorithms that are biased on both race and gender. So there's still a long way to go, not only for women in computing, but women in all aspects of life. Nonetheless, I hope you'll enjoy my code notebook and celebrate some of the great achievers and luminaries who were women in computing.